The bench.
Ta-da!
I don't even
Still
know what
no,
episode is it. Episode 7?
yeah, and still no
Yeah,
intro
yeah,
music. Still no intro music.
yeah. Well, we got some intro music. I can put some in there.
Yeah,
Part of this music scene thing is like, well, if you're not going to help us out, we'll take matters into our own hands. So,
you don't want us doing our own music, kids.
yeah,
Somebody submit something, please.
yes.
We're
So,
capable of malfeasance.
yes,
We're
yes.
absolutely capable.
So, what is up with you? I have not seen you. I was not. We were not. I was busy last week. It is my
Yeah,
fault.
as was I. Yeah.
Yes. So we were.
Well, it's springtime in the Shire,
Yes.
and the pollen is thick indeed.
Yes.
And I put a thing on Facebook asking if people were struggling with pollen, and got responses all over the
Yeah.
East Coast of the United States. It's bad everywhere. This is just one of those years.
Yeah. So it's
So I will cough.
everybody, and I don't understand my own health because I don't get any of that.
I don't think anybody understands your health, Rod.
Yeah, because I could be unhealthy in a lot of other ways, but everybody gets the pollen thing every time the pollen switches or what. I don't. It doesn't affect me.
It really, honestly, I'm 58 now, and it didn't really affect me until my mid 50s.
Yay!
And
This is what I have to look forward to.
yeah, and now I go out, like later on today. I'm gonna throw a leg over a Harley and go for a rip, and I have to be careful not to breathe in really deep because then I start coughing. And when you cough, you take your eyes off the road.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the things that we deal with.
Yes.
So
To live.
I got a question to pose.
Alrighty, I'm listening.
Anybody that's still watching this,
They all are. Yes. We continue. We are building our brand.
building our brand. Yes, yes. By hook or by crook.
Yes.
Um,
Laugh at me now.
laugh at me later. I don't care. It doesn't hurt.
Yes.
Um, if one were to choose one album to listen to for the rest of your life, only one album.
Mm-hmm.
In the comments, people, put down what your album would be. I want to see what people say.
Yeah.
Mr. Gels, do you have one that you would
I have
choose?
no idea. Part of my thing is like I'm such a mixed match of stuff. I can tell you albums that changed my life, and we've already talked about some of those,
Yeah.
like the Diary of a Madman, but also there's all kinds of stuff that changed my life.
Like, but one record
for
the rest of your life, it has to scratch every itch.
I don't think it's possible for me. Every itch will not be scratched.
Well, one album or no albums?
Huh?
One album or no albums?
All right. Kiss Alive 2.
Really? I never would have guessed that one.
Well, that's the thing that Detroit Rock City sparks it for me.
Yeah.
It's a I can't listen to it every day. I don't listen to it at all. But as I said, that is the thing that is where I understood magic. The magic of it all. The magic of it all.
For me,
go ahead.
Queen, Night at the Opera.
All right.
That record is all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got beauty, you've got majesty, you've got metal, you've got jazz, you've got wry sense of humor, you've got grandiosity, but most of all, you have melody.
Yes.
There are no bad songs on that record. The production, especially the fact that it was done in 1976, the production is still absolutely sublime. And you have Baker. Yeah, and you have Freddie Mercury. I mean, the greatest performer.
What I love about that is that, and I'm going on based on my documentary knowledge, that it was an act of revolution for them to write and record Bohemian Rhapsody. They were told not to do it, and in no uncertain terms, you you will not be supported in this.
Well, what they did was I'm reading yet another book about Queen because I'm so obsessed by that band.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's I understand it, uh, their first two records were successful, but they had no money coming in. They were in a predatory arrangement with Trident management,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Which a
this
lot of
record
people
was
were.
make or break.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, Freddie had a piano for a headboard, and turns out he was double jointed, and he would lay in bed and he would play.
Mm-hmm.
And the uh, he visualized the whole Bohemian Rhapsody song in his head. They would record a part, and then there would be silence for 30 seconds, and they said, "Well, what's that?" And he goes, "Well, that dia is where the opera is." And it just the fact that the man couldn't read music, uh, couldn't uh, didn't really have any proper musical training,
Yeah.
wasn't, but he could create just these amazing, wonderful pieces of music and
Yeah.
visualized.
Yeah. You had wonderful taste too.
But the funny thing is that the record company refused to release Bohap as a single, and it wasn't until a TV guy started playing it constantly on his TV show that
Yeah.
a radio guy that people started calling in, "What is this? What is this?" And um, so it actually they forced the hand of the record label and had their first number one
Mm-hmm.
and one of the greatest songs of all time. So, um, but yeah, it's funny because there's four records I cannot live without.
Mm-hmm.
So as I tell you mine, that'll give you time to put yours together. But four records that I absolutely cannot live without. One, of course, is the aforementioned Night at the Opera. Second one is Van Halen one.
Okay.
Um, truly wonderful piece of music. Um, third is Beatles Abbey Road,
Okay.
which was the last record they did together. And there's no, calliopes or chicken farts or anything like that. It's just all really, really good songs.
Yeah.
And even though they were having all the problems they were having, there was such unity amongst the band members. And then the fourth is the Almonds live at the Fillmore,
Okay.
uh, because
That's
they,
another magical one.
they created a new style of music. It was
Mhm.
redneck jazz, and uh, the virtuosity and the symbiosity. I mean, those of us that have played in bands for many years can understand it. You can have the best players in the world and not communicate with them musically at all. Rod, you and I could be the best buddies and finish each other's sentences and everything. And when we pick up guitars, there's every possibility that what you're doing does not work with what I'm doing and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I have been in bands with people that I absolutely detested, people that I had no respect for, people that I would have enjoyed watching the last drop of blood drip from their dead body. But we played so well together that
That you put up with it.
I endured
The things we do for love, the love of music.
as long as I could. And one of those bands actually almost made it. Citizen Kane. That band really could have
Yeah.
done it, but um, the no amount of duct tape could have held that band together with the things that were going wrong.
Mhm.
And but the cool thing is the Beatles and Van Halen, early Van Halen and Queen and the Almonds. You had situations where everybody involved musically complemented each other to such a point that it truly was the sum was greater than the parts, and um, the product was fantastic music that
Mhm.
speaks differently to everybody that hears it.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the Beatles are certainly on my lists, my top 5. And
yeah, I don't understand.
I'm one of these guys. I'm like what you would call a boomer. You don't have to like the Beatles to be influenced by them.
Yeah.
Okay, because they changed everything, whether you know it or not. And
Absolutely.
I've had this discussion many times. I don't like the Beatles. It doesn't matter. It's not a point to be made necessarily. You know, that's all subjective, and
It's
everybody.
like saying I don't like gravity.
Yeah, yeah. Gravity still affects you, right? Yeah. So they changed it for everybody.
Yep.
If I were to pick a Beatle album, it would probably be Revolver.
Yeah, that's
That
a
is
good one.
that was my that that is kind of my favorite of the but watching the documentary, there's two kinds of people in this world. Those were completely inspired by that, to watch how they created and how they struggled. They were human beings. The
Yeah, I
struggle of
think
it all. The
that's
struggle.
people lose sight of that.
Yeah,
But they were definitely human.
yeah. And how are we going to get this arrangement, and how and getting everybody on board with this, such and such a song, and all that, and and yeah, it's not easy what to do what we do. Uh I recently heard a thing about somebody was rebuttal the rebuttal again. Gene Simmons says rock is dead, and I'm not thinking. I don't subscribe to that notion at all, because
Nope.
every time you go to a every time you go to a the biggest shows are rock shows.
Yeah.
The biggest the biggest shows are rock shows, and it's like everybody, it's energy that everybody. Now I think the industry isn't building, doesn't have the rock and roll machine that it once had to try to
Right.
support that kind of thing, because it's easier to build somebody based on like a laptop and that kind of thing. But back to your Freddie Mercury and Bohemian Rhapsody, I have so much respect for somebody that this is the way we're going to do it. And if it is not, I'm digging my heels in the sand. And, and I don't know that part, I don't know if people can even make that trump card. They can I don't know if artists can dig the heels in the sand like that anymore.
No, as Freddie said, it was either going to be a spectacular win or a spectacular failure, but it was going to be
It's
spectacular.
spectacular. Yes.
And I mean, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about this in an earlier show. The machine, as you said, the machine doesn't exist anymore. It used to be you got together with your friends, you played in somebody's garage, and if it worked, then you practiced and you played church basements and
Hmm.
bars and whatever, and then you got known, you built a following, and
Hmm.
then the labels came looking for you, and then you released records, went national, and blah blah blah. That machine is broken now. You have guys like Justin Bieber making videos, putting them on YouTube, and becoming huge icons. I saw a list the other day of bands that never won a Grammy, and it blew my mind because it was like everybody.
Journey was one of them.
Yeah, yeah, The Doors, all these bands. But the value has shifted from uh getting together, playing, and building a following, and then the following being basically being part of the band machine. And I mean, Freddie Mercury was he was a follower of the band Smile, which was Roger Taylor and Brian May
Yeah.
before they had Queen.
Yeah.
And he was always around, and then
He was a
eventually
fan. He was
became
a
a singer.
fan.
So yeah, so nowadays it's so difficult. I put a thing on my Facebook today, and anybody that wants to go look at it, it's an article by an artist whose name I can't mention right now because I can't remember her name, but basically telling the club owners, treat us with respect as musicians. And I've often said, if you have a restaurant and you're basically getting your food products from wherever, then you're not going to build a following. You're not going to have people that come in that say, "Oh, I love to eat at this restaurant because the food is always good." And this woman, she touches on that. She says, if you get rid of the mediocre bands, if you only have good bands, then people will come. And to expect the band to bring all the crowd is ridiculous, because if a band's out working, and they're playing every night. No crowd is going to follow them every night to every show.
Yeah.
And she makes some really really good points that if you treat the bands with respect and treat the audience with respect, then you have a good venue. And um, there have been venues in the past that I can name, like Hammerjacks in Baltimore, or
Hmm.
back when the countryside was happening in Mechanicsburg, where you knew whoever was playing there was going to be great, so you just went
Yeah.
because you knew that whoever was booking the talent in that organization, they had
Is it going to
vetted the
bring
band.
something second rate?
Right. I can't tell you how many times I'm angered when I actually do go out and I'll go into a venue and then the band starts and they're awful. And to me, I think if I had a club, I'd rather not pay a band and have people do karaoke or something than pay a band, have it loud, screechy, and horrible, and have the wait staff not be able to hear orders. I mean, why have bad bands? Um, and so the system that we used to have, the farm team, if you will, that where bands came up and were strengthened and like when
Support.
I was with a band that was talking to a major label many years ago, and they were offering us uh 1+2. In other words, they would cover the first record, and if it did well, then we had the option to do two more. And uh a friend of mine's band 2 years earlier had signed a solid three, where basically they signed on and the label said, well, we'll do a record and we'll just see how it does, but then we'll really throw hard at the second record once you have some standing.
Yeah.
And just in those 2 years that changed. But now, um, for any major to even be interested in you have to have sold an absolute shit ton of stuff
Well,
on your
what
own.
is weird is right now, and probably even then, if I have all that kind of audience anyway, why do I need you?
Distribution.
Yeah. Well, right now we can get distribution.
Yeah.
We can get
Yeah, it's changed
distribution.
so much now. It's
Yeah.
And now everybody's
And
doing
some there's
EPs instead of
some of
records.
it is for the good. Some of it I think positive about it. It's an equalize. In other words, there's opportunity to do things now that the people at the gate 30 years ago were keeping you from.
Yeah.
There's opportunity now that you can do stuff. But as a result, what are we doing with that? You know,
How far can we go?
yeah,
Because
I don't know that we're making the best use of that.
well, and let's be brutally honest here. The problem is that whatever media we choose to release our music on, it can be bootlegged instantly.
Hmm.
Uh, I have somewhere in a box when I bought this house, I moved a bunch of stuff out of storage, and I have a box, and in that box is an absolute ton of live bootleg recordings from back in the 70s and 80s, where people really took a risk to go in and record a show.
Hmm.
Um, Nowadays, you just go on YouTube and whatever band you want to see, you can watch their whole show from the night before. So as a result, electronic media um, and file sharing and everything has absolutely reduced the value of the recorded music to almost nil.
Hmm.
And so ticket prices, concert prices have gone through the roof because that's how the bands are making their money. And
Yeah.
so it's an interesting thing where the pendulum is swinging back and forth. And we do have freedoms now that we did not have many years ago. But are we better off? I don't know. I don't know. And anybody watching, in the comments, tell us what you
Yes.
think.
And
Tell
I'm
us.
interested, honestly, I'm interested in the people's ideas,
Yeah.
like younger people talking about what we're talking about, because I do know that because I remember it back then, some of my views are a certain way, and it's like they see opportunities that sometimes we don't like, like us boomer
Yeah.
us
Oh man.
boomers.
You guys slugged it out in bars.
Right?
You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
rolled.
You had to play without tracks,
You guys used monitors on the stage. You guys
or you
rolled.
didn't. There's plenty of gigs. Monitors was a luxury.
I can remember having a U-Haul, double axle U-Haul trailer full of sound equipment and hauling that crap around and setting it up and like jumping up on the PA stacks and everything. Now the PA that I can put the whole band into my Honda minivan, and I have a much more efficient PA system that occupies about the space of two people.
Okay.
And it's funny. I remember it took four of us to carry each bass bin back in the
Yeah.
day.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, the technology is such that, one person can set up the PA, one person can set up the lights, and you
Yeah.
can get a full rock show out of a minivan. So
Right.
it's crazy how electronics have changed things.
And that for the better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the comments, folks, tell us what you think.
All ages, because yeah, we're
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
old guys.
Educate us.
Yeah.
Educate us.
But it's like so yeah,
I want to learn.
everybody's top you're saying number one album. Let's get back to that.
One album.
What if it's one album that you could listen to for the rest of your life?
And it's the album you listen to for the rest of your life. So you better friggin' enjoy it because,
Yeah.
But I honestly, that's why Night at the Opera comes to me, because it's spectacular throughout. And there's so many different types of music getting touched
Oh
on.
yeah.
Fantastic. Hey, let's talk about I'm building some guitars.
Let's talk about it.
Can't name the artist yet,
Okay.
but each show I'll show you an update on the progress,
Okay.
so that when I do name the artist, you guys will go, oh, I saw those get built.
Yeah.
So the one of the guitars, this is Black Karina. Karina is also known as Limba. It is an African hardwood, lightweight, very resonant, known for, in the late 50s, the Gibson company made Explorers and Flying V's out of Karina.
Yeah.
Explorer was shaped like a Z. The Flying V was shaped after a, and it was a popular wood in the 50s. You'd see furniture made out of it, stereos, this and that, whatever. And then it kind of fell out of favor, and it's kind of rare now. And this is Black Karina, so named because you can see the mineral streaks. The wood is so pale that this would be dirt that was pulled up into the tree as the tree was growing. And it's, if you look at the end grain, you can see where it was drawn right up in there.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it around. This is how a solid body guitar starts, with a blank. This is called a blank. And this is the outline of the body that I will be cutting this out.
Is it that is not free-handed?
Actually, it is not.
Okay.
I have a form.
Okay.
That I use, and it's an upside down Stratocaster body.
Okay.
And what I plan on doing is this cutaway will be deepened so that you can get your hand up in there, but from a distance, it will look like an upside down Stratocaster.
Okay.
And so what I've done recently to prepare myself is, you look at that large expanse of nothingness and you say, well, where do the parts go? So what I'm going to show you today is, this is a neat little fixture that I made, which will be held on there with double-sided tape. That is a routing template, and I will route in there, and that will be the neck attachment spot. And then down here is the holes for the strings to go through the body, for the bridge to go on. And essentially, this way, the neck and bridge will be perfectly lined up. This is just a piece of plexiglass. And this was freehand cut using a Dremel with a neat little bit on it there.
All right.
You can see that. Coolest tool ever made.
Yeah.
And so next week, when we see this, there will be progress on this one.
All right.
And to show you what happens, I have another one being built for said band. This one has a little more progress on it. This is a bass. And you can see now, there's the neck area routed.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to go like this, now a bass neck is a little bit longer,
Yeah.
but you get the idea. I'm going to be doing that. And then of course the bridge on a bass is farther down. And this, I heavily modified a 1960s Fender Music Master bass bridge. And the strings will be going through the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I modified this. I drilled this so that the strings can go through the bridge, and then modified these so that we can actually intonate it, and it'll have a single pickup, a single volume knob. There is our control hole, and I will recess this and make a plate that's held in with a couple of screws, and there's our output jack. So the guitar will catch up, and you will notice that yes, they are matching, and but I'm not saying who they're for.
I know who it is.
And I know you know, and you can gloat about that.
I'm important.
And another thing I'm going to show you this week, just because it's fun, is what I do is very intense at times. I have a 1930 Martin. Right? Can you see it? It's right there.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
You can see that holding the saddle, and that guitar, I'm about to cut the saddle to the proper height, and then that guitar's done and it goes home to the owner. And when you're working on a 1930 Martin or a 1950s Les Paul or whatever, things can get pretty intense. And so I discovered a fabulous way to keep working at the skill level, but to shift direction to kind of take the pressure off. And what I do is I take, I'll show you a before. I take Hot Wheels cars.
All right.
And I find realistic Hot Wheels cars. Like this is a Rabbit GTI in a really wrong color with stupid graphics. And when I show you this next time, it's going to look really, really cool. Hot Wheels is now run by guys my age, and they make some really cool cars. When we were kids, the Hot Wheels weren't quite accurate.
I still have all my Hot Wheels.
Do you? Well, you might have to work out a deal, buddy. But what I do,
my paint jobs aren't anywhere near yours.
Yeah. Well, what I do is I do this. Oh, it's not going to stay. That would have been cool. I try to make them super realistic.
Hold on.
Isn't that cool? This is funny. This actually, I painted this Pelham blue, which is an actual Chevrolet Cadillac color. And as I was putting it back together, I scratched the deck lid. I was like, oh crap. So I painted it two-tone as factory. And I love the way it came out. And you know, it's all about detail. And for me, doing this it's just so much fun. And this is a 65 Chevy, and this was like red with ridiculous flames and whatever, and it was ridiculous. And so this is an actual Chevrolet beige color. And so in the comments, tell us about your Hot Wheels.
Yes.
There's groups on Facebook for people that do this. I'm not the only guy that's doing this, and it's a lot of fun. So diversions.
Now here's a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the owners of the Hot Wheels?
No.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a
no. But
you do know that they're like our age.
Well, I know that that those that are in control of Hot Wheels, I mean, when we were kids, they were old men.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're old men, so they're our age, and they grew up, and you can see in the quality of the castings of the cars, and the proportions are right. That the cars are good, and I got a whole bunch of them back there, and I'm not going to bore you with them, but it's just
attention to detail.
You know what?
It is like your zen.
Detail is absolutely my zen. The more accurate I can make it, the more realistic I can make it, the more I feel like I didn't waste my time. And then the cool thing is I'm not diminishing a skill level.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can work at a very high skill level, and then I can just transfer my attention right back to the guitar I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like um reading Shakespeare and then picking up a comic book for a while.
Yeah.
It's just a redirection. So just kind of a fun thing. And so that's
A mind hack.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to sum up this week, uh in the comments, your one record you would listen to for the rest of your life. And if you don't want to explain it, you don't have to. Just post the title. Um Go see live bands,
Yep.
support good bands,
Yep.
because if bands don't get support, club owners don't know, and club owners, you can't trust that a club owner knows what they're doing. Um, I play the first Saturday of every month at a place called Blue Sky Tavern in Edders, and Eric Fee, the owner, he gets it. He's a music fan. It's an Allman Brothers themed restaurant, terrific
Yeah.
restaurant. So
Mm-hmm.
I play out with a guy named Brian Seneca. So if anybody's bored on the first Saturday of every month, come on out.
I will try to make it there. If I'm in town, I will be there.
Yeah, it's a good time. We just pick up acoustic guitars, not full bands, just
Yeah.
two guys with acoustic guitars, but you'll hear us do anything from Queen to Judas Priest.
All
I mean,
right.
we do Ozzy, we do Judas Priest, we are woefully unaware of our limitations. And but
Your biases.
you know,
We all have them.
when you've done it all, you just end up doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
I've done pretty much all of it. So but you know, basically it's been a good week,
Good.
and next week's going to be a better week. And
No more hay fever.
oh, the hay fever's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yep.
But that's how I got my sexy voice this week.
Well, that's you're barely white. So, Greg, thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you, Rod.
And we're at the bench. That one album. Support live music.
Be good to each other.
Be good to each other. Be good to each other.
Yes.
If you see somebody struggling, lift
Help
them up.
Yep.
All right.
The person that you decide not to help is probably the person that you were built to help.
Yes. Yes. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. Be good to each other. Till next time.
God bless y'all.